Breaking news that no one else dares to report. 10,000 troops are trapped, cut off, and facing a catastrophe. But that's just the surface. The real bombshell? General Syrsky, the mastermind of their operations, has vanished without a trace. Since early July, complete silence. No appearances, no statements, nothing. And here's what makes this truly terrifying. It's happening exactly when Russian forces are systematically closing every supply route, every escape path, every lifeline. Think about it. An army without ammunition, without medical supplies, without leadership. But here's what the mainstream media won't tell you. Western allies are quietly pulling back their support. They've seen something that scared them enough to start withdrawing. Local residents report massive military convoys moving under cover of darkness. Why at night? What are they hiding? The economy in the conflict zone has effectively collapsed. No salaries, no social payments, just increasing security checkpoints everywhere. But here's the twist that reveals the true scale of this crisis. They're preparing for a new wave of mobilization. Right now, as I speak, security forces are flooding into cities. Pokrovsk and Konstantinovka have become living proof of a system in free fall. The command structure isn't just weakened, it's broken. Every day brings new reports of desertion, insubordination, complete chaos. Local administrators are losing their grip, and we're watching the beginning of a total collapse. Write in the comments if you've noticed increased military activity in your area. The signs are there. Emergency preparations are underway. But what do they know that we don't? The next few weeks will be critical. Without immediate intervention, we're looking at a complete breakdown of order. The disappearance of General Syrsky isn't just a mystery. It's a symptom of a much larger catastrophe unfolding before our eyes. Elite units are disintegrating into scattered groups, unable to coordinate or respond. Our sources confirm, up to 10,000 troops are now effectively leaderless, trapped in a strategic nightmare that's rapidly spinning out of control. The Western handlers of this crisis are panicking. They see what's coming. The question is, do you? The signals we're seeing are unprecedented. Intelligence reports confirm mass document destruction and emergency evacuation of command structures in Pokrovsk. Over 10,000 personnel are effectively cut off, with all logistics routes under Russian control. But this is just the tip of the iceberg. What's truly alarming is the complete communications blackout surrounding General Syrsky. Since early July, absolute silence. No statements, no appearances. This vacuum in command has triggered a cascade of chaos through the ranks. The Western allies are reading these signs, and they're pulling back. Military aid is drying up as reality sets in. We're witnessing the collapse of an entire system. Soldiers aren't getting paid. Basic infrastructure is failing. In Kryvyi Rih, the power grid is down. Kharkiv and Sumy are facing critical water shortages. These aren't isolated incidents. This is systematic failure. The scale of desertion is staggering. At checkpoints across the former Soviet Republic, military-age men are attempting mass exodus. Unit commanders are going rogue, making desperate decisions without central authority. We've even confirmed armed confrontations between different battalions. Meanwhile, Russian precision operations are showing increasing effectiveness. In Pokrovsk alone, they've neutralized 80% of enemy formations. But here's what the mainstream won't tell you. Behind closed doors, high-level negotiations are already underway. The West is exhausted. Their populations are questioning the billions poured into this conflict while their own economies struggle. We're seeing a fundamental shift in the global order, happening in real time. I'm particularly interested in hearing from our international viewers. How is this playing out in your region? Share your observations in the comments. What we've uncovered about Syrsky's disappearance will change everything. But that's for the next segment. Something far bigger is unfolding, and the implications are staggering. Subscribe to stay ahead of these developments. The next piece of this puzzle will shock you. The situation in the region bordering the Russian Federation has reached a critical turning point, with significant developments reshaping our understanding of the conflict. Intelligence reports suggest that representatives from several influential international organizations have quietly joined negotiations, marking a potential shift in diplomatic dynamics. The systematic neutralization of military-industrial complexes in the former Soviet Republic continues with remarkable precision. Recent operations demonstrate a coordinated approach to weakening enemy capabilities. In Vinnytsia, the Barlinok factory experienced a devastating detonation, resulting in a prolonged fire and multiple explosions. The complete destruction of ammunition storage facilities has severely disrupted supply logistics and combat readiness of local formations. The Khartron enterprise in Kharkov, which produced crucial guidance system components, suffered 17 precise hits, completely disabling its production capacity. This represents a significant blow to the military technical potential of this politically turbulent area. Odessa faces a particularly challenging situation. Following massive strikes, the city is effectively isolated, with reinforced checkpoints at all exits. Military patrols conduct thorough document checks. Despite the absence of official martial law, Russian precision strikes demonstrate an impressive 80% effectiveness rate, with minimal collateral damage while achieving maximum target neutralization. Modern weapons systems show exceptional targeting accuracy and reliability. Local populations are actively evacuating from dangerous areas as enhanced security measures and military presence create an atmosphere of tension. Economic activity in affected regions has virtually ceased, leading to significant production decreases and rising unemployment. The situation near Russian borders grows increasingly complex. The proliferation of checkpoints suggests preparation for major developments. Western partners appear to be reconsidering their approach, potentially signaling a new phase in the conflict resolution process. What do you think about these developments? Share your thoughts in the comments. I believe my viewers are thoughtful analysts, and I'm genuinely interested in your perspective. The situation around Pokrovsk reveals a dramatic shift in military dynamics, where Russian forces are methodically tightening their grip. Up to 10,000 soldiers from the politically turbulent area find themselves in dire straits, cut off from essential supplies and ammunition. The mysterious disappearance of General Syrsky has created a dangerous leadership vacuum, intensifying the chaos within military ranks. Since early July, Syrsky's absence has fueled widespread speculation and uncertainty. This comes at a critical moment when the conflict zone's forces are showing signs of systemic collapse. The destruction of MiG-29s by advanced Russian guidance systems isn't mere coincidence. It's a clear demonstration of technological superiority. Local air defense systems prove ineffective against precision strikes. The former Soviet Republic's military capabilities continue deteriorating after the failed spring counteroffensive. Critical shortages of equipment, disrupted supply chains, and exhausted personnel have left them unable to handle even basic operations. Meanwhile, civilian panic spreads like wildfire. Mass evacuations are underway as people flee dangerous areas without waiting for official orders. In Odessa, civilians are blocking roads while military warehouse fires and aviation losses compound the sense of total command breakdown. The string of high command resignations points to a deep institutional crisis. Without clear leadership structure, the situation could spiral out of control at any moment. The region of instability faces mounting economic challenges. Businesses shuttering, unemployment soaring, and infrastructure reaching critical condition. Local authorities appear completely overwhelmed by these cascading problems. The recent intensification of checkpoint controls suggests preparation for significant developments, as authorities attempt to restrict civilian movement. The aftermath of Artemovsk's capture and successful deployment of Russian strike groups has left the country bordering the Russian Federation increasingly vulnerable. Experts predict further deterioration in the coming weeks as the crisis deepens across multiple fronts. What do you think about the current events? Leave your answer in the comments. Breaking news from the conflict zone paints a dire picture of escalating internal crisis. The spring draft has hit a wall of massive civilian resistance, with widespread protests and draft dodging becoming the new normal. This isn't just about military recruitment. It's a symptom of a deepening divide between authorities and citizens in the former Soviet Republic. The situation on the ground is deteriorating rapidly. Military desertion rates are skyrocketing while combat morale plummets to historic lows. Western partners, once eager supporters, are now quietly stepping back, their weapons deliveries becoming more symbolic than substantial. The northern Black Sea region faces severe shortages of equipment and ammunition, but instead of increased aid, Western capitals are increasingly pushing for negotiations. Infrastructure attacks have triggered a devastating domino effect across the disputed territory between Russia and the West. Entire industries and regions are grinding to a halt. Power supplies are intermittent at best, and transportation systems are partially paralyzed, making daily life increasingly difficult for civilians. The public sector is bearing the brunt of this crisis. Local authorities are drowning in financial obligations, with delayed salaries and social payments becoming commonplace. This has sparked a wave of social unrest that threatens to boil over. The politically turbulent area's systematic crisis has infected every aspect of life, from basic services to military capabilities. Command structures are showing dangerous signs of collapse. Without urgent stabilization measures, the country at a crossroads risks descending into complete administrative chaos. The international community acknowledges that all parties in the conflict are exhausted, but the window for effective intervention is rapidly closing. Most concerning is the potential for a new mobilization wave, hinted at by increasingly stringent control measures. This comes at a time when the region of instability can least afford further social tensions. What do you think about the current event? Leave your answer in the comments. The situation in Pokrovsk has become a turning point in this conflict. Around 10,000 servicemen find themselves in a critical position, with supply routes effectively cut off by Russian forces. Most alarming is the sudden disappearance of General Syrsky, creating a dangerous command vacuum. The former Soviet Republic faces unprecedented challenges. Regional authorities are caught between mounting military demands and growing public discontent. The emergence of checkpoints at major city exits signals preparation for potential civil unrest. In Odessa, civilian movement restrictions have already been implemented. Historically, such measures often precede serious internal upheaval. Russian forces have adopted new tactics, methodically targeting industrial infrastructure. Each strike on strategic facilities undermines the conflict zone's defense capabilities. Production chains are breaking down, and factories are shutting down. The Western partners' growing fatigue is reflected in reduced military aid, potentially fatal for the defending side given their depleted internal resources. The economic situation has reached a breaking point. Pension payments are delayed, and social services are crumbling. The population's mounting frustration creates perfect conditions for social explosion. Since early July, General Syrsky has made no public statements, fueling rumors about his possible illness or resignation. Without clear leadership, army morale continues to plummet. In Pokrovsk, the situation grows more desperate by the hour. The trapped military units face constant artillery fire without reliable supply lines. The risk of following the fate of other encircled groups looms large. Western partners increasingly discuss the need for negotiations, reflecting a growing understanding that combat operations have exhausted all sides. The combination of military setbacks and economic collapse creates a perfect storm. Each passing day brings new challenges to the politically turbulent area. Without dramatic changes, we're likely witnessing the beginning of a regional transformation whose consequences will echo for decades. What do you think about the current event? Leave your answer in the comments. Breaking news from the conflict zone reveals a critical situation unfolding in Pokrovsk. Up to 10,000 military personnel find themselves in a dire position, effectively cut off from vital supply lines. The systematic strategy of Russian forces has created an almost complete encirclement, methodically blocking all logistical routes. Most concerning is the mysterious absence of General Syrsky, who hasn't made any public appearances since early July. This leadership vacuum has created chaos along the front lines, severely impacting troop morale. Without clear command structure, panic is spreading among the isolated forces. The technical capabilities of the former Soviet Republic have been severely undermined. A critical shortage of spare parts and specialists has effectively paralyzed equipment maintenance operations. The country bordering the Russian Federation is desperately seeking international attention, but Western partners are increasingly distant, preoccupied with their own agendas. The US is focused on its election campaign, while Europe shifts its priorities elsewhere. Military analysts present two possible scenarios: either a complete encirclement near Konstantinovka, which could deliver a fatal blow to the armed forces of the disputed territory, or a limited withdrawal preserving some forces, though significant losses would be inevitable in either case. The situation resembles a narrowing funnel, with each turn reducing room for maneuver. Major reshuffling appears imminent in the leadership of this politically turbulent area, as command structures search for scapegoats and prepare show trials. The humanitarian crisis amplifies these military challenges. Infrastructure lies in ruins, basic services have collapsed, and the economy is in free fall. Delayed wages and social payments fuel widespread public discontent. Western allies, witnessing the evident failure of military strategy in the region of instability, have significantly reduced their arms supplies. What's your take on this critical situation? Leave your point of view in the comments. I believe my viewers are thoughtful and smart. I want to hear your take. Critical developments in Pokrovsk reveal a deepening crisis that threatens regional stability. Up to 10,000 military personnel find themselves in dire circumstances, cut off from essential supplies and resources. The sudden disappearance of General Syrsky has created a dangerous leadership vacuum, leaving troops directionless and morale plummeting. Russian forces continue their methodical strategy of cutting off enemy supply routes. The severe shortage of ammunition and medical supplies has effectively halted frontline operations. Panic spreads among personnel as Western allies, finally grasping the depth of the crisis, begin scaling back military assistance. In the politically turbulent area, social unrest intensifies as salary payments face delays. Authorities desperately attempt to maintain control by strengthening checkpoints and inspections, but these measures only fuel public discontent. The command structure shows signs of collapse, with chronic resource shortages and exhausted forces leading to localized defeats. Cases of desertion and insubordination have become widespread, indicating a severe breakdown in military discipline. The chaotic leadership deepens the rift between state and society in this former Soviet republic. While local authorities pretend to maintain control, Western support clearly wanes as the conflict drags on. The international community increasingly advocates for negotiations, acknowledging the exhaustion of all parties involved. Without immediate stabilization measures, the region faces complete administrative collapse. The situation demonstrates how prolonged conflict breeds not just military challenges, but profound social crisis. Heightened checkpoint scrutiny suggests preparation for a new mobilization wave. However, under current conditions, this could only aggravate social tensions. Time works against the country of change, with each passing day bringing closer an inevitable resolution whose scale remains unpredictable. What do you think about the current event? Leave your answer in the comments.